Hey everybody, Eric here. It's your Halloween special. Monsters roaring. Screams in the night. Little Twilight Zone. Ghosts, we got all. But what we're really going to work on is a little technique, or a technique to fix what I call flying fingers. What I mean by that is, when you're playing, maybe you're playing some chords, but when you're doing it, instead of doing nice changes from like G to C add none, you're actually doing G to C add 9. What was that? That to that, that's what we call flying fingers. We also see it when we're playing notes. That's keeping them nice and close. We get flying fingers and we see. Or we see people try and play with one finger. That's just getting way too busy. A lot of my students will hear me say that I talk about playing as lazy as possible. And that doesn't mean that I don't practice or don't work on things. What it means is I don't put any more effort into getting the sounds out than I need to, because if I put in too much, it's actually going to be counterproductive and stop me from being able to move my fingers as fast as I need to. So, here's a little trick for working on getting rid of the flying fingers. And this is one that myself and a friend of mine developed back when we were in university, and we both looked at each other and went, "What are you doing with that pinky finger?" So, what are you doing with those fingers? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the quasi-chromatic scale that I love so much. And what you're going to do is, you're going to set up around the 5th fret. And what I want is, put your fingers on, then pull them off about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Once you've done that, your fingers will make sort of an arc like this. They'll be like this. Okay? What you're going to do is, you're going to take your hand, your right hand, that's not playing, and you're going to cover the outsides of your knuckles. So if this is the outsides of your knuckles, they're going to be covered like this. What we're doing is we're actually training our fingers to have an end point coming back off the fretboard. So instead of being flying away like this, we now have this. It's a backstop for them. What we're doing is we're teaching our fingers where to stop when they come back off. We have this when we go on because we hit the frets. This is going to bring in another exercise later because there's a lot of us who actually press too hard. We'll get that after. We're going to get rid of the flying fingers first. So, line them up, quasi-chromatic scale, so that means index on the 5th, middle on the 6th, ring on the 7th, pinky on the 8th. Then pull them off about 3/4 to an inch. Cup your right hand around the outside of your knuckles, and what I want you to do is walk through your quasi-chromatic pattern and letting your knuckles come out and hit your hand. And like I said, this is going to help you create a stop point for your fingers on the way back out. Do this up and down a couple times, maybe every time you pick up the guitar, do it once or twice, just to slowly build that feeling and that sensation. And that way, when you're ready to start doing crazy jump Petrucci's type exercises or just playing your scales really fast, you'll no longer be going, but being able to stay in nice and tight, maybe like a... And that way you don't have to bring in a whole bunch of possibility for error by getting way out here. This will also help on your chord changes when you have nice chord changes like I mentioned earlier, G, C add 9. Maybe we're doing the pop progression with D and E minor 7. Let me get that. Or like the wagon wheel that I saw last week. Notice my fingers aren't really working a whole lot harder than they need to. So, flying fingers, get rid of them. Quasi-chromatic scale, cup the hand about 3/4 inch to an inch off, and work it up and down. Hope everybody has a safe and happy Halloween. Get those costumes out, play lots of freaky music. Try not to get eaten by any sharks. If you find yourself hearing this, turn and run the other way. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy practicing. See you next week with another tip.